With the release of Tier 0 item recovery, players across the Star Citizen universe have finally dropped the Costco mentality of buying their t-shirts in bulk and have started engaging in the time-honored MMO tradition of caring about the way they look. Which is super exciting, and though Tier 0 of item recovery is a bit of a controversial topic, I think we can all agree that it's nice to see other players flaunting their Sunday's best rather than keeping it hidden away in an ASOP terminal out of fear of losing it. For me personally, I've always enjoyed the aspect of MMOs where we get to dive in and really create our in-universe persona. So over the past week, I've been on the hunt for new and interesting armor pieces to see how I could customize my own character's appearance to reflect my own persona in Star Citizen. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some of my new favorite fits, plus I'll be showing you my most efficient ways to get through some of the new ground POI locations so that you can try your hand at getting some of the new looks. That's up next. Welcome back everyone to Forgecore Gaming. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. I'm your host Phoenix, and this is my guide to looking fresh in Star Citizen, part 1 of probably many more to come. Before we get started, I'd like to ask that you hit that like and subscribe button if you appreciate Star Citizen content with a focus on quality, and it is a free way to support the channel and smaller content creators like myself. We aim to put out 2 videos a week on a variety of topics, ranging from op-ed style ship reviews, gameplay tutorials, patch watch style content, and whatever else piques my interest as I dive into the game each day. Either way, we hope you join us on our journey through the Star Citizen universe. But without further ado, let's get into it. Up first in my lineup of fresh new fits is what I like to call the UEE Templar. It's comprised of all heavy pieces except for the arms, as I couldn't find one that I liked. Here's what I'm wearing to make this ensemble. From top to bottom, we have the Paladin helmet in white and black. Then we have the Citadel SE core in white, followed up by the Citadel SE legs that are labeled as maroon, but there isn't a hint of maroon on them, so I suspect this is an oddball flavor text error. Finally, we finish up with the Aztalan Galena arms. All of these pieces were looted from the new PAF points of interest from the red security rooms, but I have verified that you can, in fact, loot Citadel pieces from regular bunker POIs. I am, however, unsure of the drop rate on that and if it's more rare in places other than the PAF sites. No creative name here, as all pieces come from the Aztalan set, which is a sleek light armor set giving you maximum mobility but minimal coverage. I see this as a sort of flight suit, and in the future the helmet will come equipped with an AR crosshair, at least according to the item description. And here are the pieces that make up this look. Up top we have the Aztalan Tamarack helmet. Next we have the Aztalan core. Then we have the Aztalan Tamarack legs. Finished off with the Aztalan Galena arms. I call this next set the Citizen Operator for pretty obvious reasons that are all tactical AF. This set combines a mix of heavy armor elements where it matters plus some medium armor pieces in the hopes of maintaining some mobility and endurance. Here are the pieces that make up this outfit. For the helmet we have the base Antium armor. For the core, we have the Antium Armor Storm. Then we have the base Artemex legs. And of course, the modified Artemex arms. Finally, and I saved the best set for last, this one I affectionately call the Kitten Commander. And okay, full disclaimer, I put this set together as a bit of a joke. An Orgmate and I were just messing around because we found 2 helmets in relatively short order. And here's the photographic evidence for that. But low-key, this setup kinda slaps, and yes, I'm ashamed to say that. Just a side note, I was halfway tempted to name this set the Wakulo Forever, but I don't know, my senses kinda got the best of me here, so I landed on Kitten Commander. Now let's go over how you build this set. At the top, the star of the show is the Star Kitten Sally helmet, very manly, which was originally a subscriber item from, I believe, April 2021, but don't quote me on that. For the chest piece, we have the ADP Crusader core. Then we have the ADP Crusader legs. finished off with the ADP Crusader arms. Just a side note, to my knowledge, the ADP Crusader gear cannot be farmed at the new POIs, and it's the only pieces featured in this video that can't. But I did make a video on how you can farm that, and that was made just not too long ago, and you can watch that by clicking the link in the top corner of your screen if you want to check that out. But make sure you come back to this video so that you can see my tips and tricks for solo farming the PAF POIs. You won't want to miss it. Before we head on to the next section of the video, do me a favor and drop a comment with your favorite new armor set, even if it's a cacophony of pieces from several different sets. Also, I'm on the lookout for more base, jet, or storm Antium pieces, so if you have them and want to trade, join my Discord using the link in the video description and let me know. I would like to point out that the majority of this guide is more geared towards solo or duo players. As such, the methods I outline rely on playing quote-unquote shadow games so as to avoid conflict that could potentially cause you to lose everything you looted. Remember, even with T0, if you die, you have to go all the way back to your body to claim the contents of your backpack. But alright, let's get started with a brief overview of my approach. There are a total of 4 orbital laser platforms, or OLPs. 2 hovering above Daymar, and 2 hovering above Aberdeen. Each OLP has, almost directly below it on the planet, 3 PAF sites, or Platform Alignment Facilities. They are labeled as PAF I, PAF II, and PAF III respectively. This guide is conducted at the Vivere PAF beneath the Vivere OLP, but other OLP and PAF sites are structured identically. At the center of each site is a giant satellite, at the base of which is a sort of warehouse where you can find 3 loot rooms locked behind closed red doors, labeled Security, Admin, or Comms. Every PAF site has them, and they're all the same except for a couple small distinct differences. In order to get into the red door security rooms, you'll need a red key. 1 key gains you entry to 1 room, then the key is destroyed. So in order to loot all 3 rooms, you need 3 keys, which are scattered across several different buildings in the PAF site. But at each PAF, there are freebies to be had by way of a red key or keys that are located in the center building near the red security doors. The crux of my solo player strategy is to only take the freebies and leave the site as quickly as possible, as lingering in a single location increases your odds of getting found by aggressive players. At Vivere PAF III, there are actually 2 freebies, if you know how to get them. It's really easy to do. All you need to do is head into the center building. Then once you get in, you look towards the red door labeled Security, and to the right of it is a little box sticking out of the wall. This is actually a sort of jump puzzle that you can access by jumping on the boxes as shown on the screen. You can then clamber into the admin room above you, inside of which you'll find a red key terminal. But you're already inside one of the red rooms at this point, so start looking for beige or tan boxes with armor icons on them. In these is where you'll find what you're looking for. There are also green boxes with ammo icons. These boxes hold guns and ammunition. Blue boxes hold an assortment of utility items such as food, and red boxes contain medical supplies. Additionally, in the corner of each security room, you'll see a parallax rifle and at least 3 magazines stored in a gun locker. Pro tip, if either the keycard terminal is on cooldown or if the parallax rifle is missing, that means a player has been there recently and you should proceed with caution. Once you've done your looting and grabbed your red keycard, start heading out, but make sure you don't miss the smaller tan armor boxes in the main room. These usually contain racing jackets and light armor. Once you're out of the room, you can now head to another red door. You have 2 choices, Comms or Security. A friend of mine said he noticed that Comms rarely had good loot, but this is just anecdote, and I haven't really seen a strong correlation between room and loot quality. So far, they all seem about equal. The security room is downstairs, but the comms room is on the 2nd floor. To get to it, just take the pathway perpendicular to the admin room pathway on the catwalk. Pro tip, right now, quote-unquote carrying items straight from your inventory seems to be broken, but you can drop the item on the ground and long press the F key in order to access the radial menu so you can select carry. With card in hand, just open up the next door and get to looting. By the way, I only recommend doing these POIs in heavy armor for 2 reasons. You're going to encounter a lot of NPCs, and they hurt. You can also Carry a heavy or a large backpack when wearing heavy armor, meaning you can carry more loot. Now, you may be tempted to loot components, as there are 1 to 2 components in every security room, but they are generally side grades, and if you're running solo, that could turn into multiple trips if you're just trying to take everything with you. And again, staying in one place too long is lingering, and lingering gets you killed. Once you're done looting, head to your ship and start heading to the next POI. Full disclaimer, you can stay and find the remaining red keys in the buildings on the peripheries of the POI if you want, and I'll have a quick guide on how to do that towards the end of the video. FYI, I tend to do these POIs in a random order, favoring PAF III as it has 2 free loot rooms. I choose where to go next simply based on where I'm looking when I take off. And I scan to see which POI has the fewest ships, because more ships equals a higher chance of a player being on the ground. Anyways, back to it. At PAF I, there's only 1 freebie room. The arrangement of buildings will be slightly different, but the majority of the POI will be mostly the same, so park your ship and enter the building as you normally would. I generally tend to enter in the back of the building, as I'm more easily able to funnel enemies using its narrow hallways, rather than having to contend with enemies firing on me from several different angles. Also, if the NPCs are there, take your time. Don't rush into these rooms. Even if you're a crack shot, I've found there's a lot of desync in the NPCs at these sites, which can make it hard to kill them before they get guns on target. Once you've cleared the NPCs, enter the main room and look to the side wall near the stairs. There, you'll find a red keycard terminal out in the open, plus a little armor loot box. These loot boxes are generally low tier pieces, but I always check them because you never know when the RNG will work in your favor. If you're worried about other NPCs, i.e. you hear them talking but can't see them, I recommend going for the rooms upstairs. And that's because managing your inventory or fiddling around looking for a card can take time, and you don't want to be in your bag when an enemy draws down on you. Once you're in a room, loot to your heart's content, and get back to your ship for the final POI. Now, I was filming the majority of this video in a Polaris, so I was pretty safe on my commute from POI to POI. But if you don't have one, or you don't want to use a Polaris, make sure to bring a ship with external storage. And in between POIs, keep your head on a swivel. Use common sense. If another player is just hanging around the skies above or around the PAFs, they probably see you, and there's a decent chance that they're just waiting for you to leave your ship so they can destroy it. But just like the first 2 buildings, enter the PAF Center satellite hub and start working through the crowds of NPCs. Once you're done, head inside and immediately head to the stairs, and do it with a bit of a run, as you'll need to hop over to a distant platform at the top of the stairs. Land the jump successfully and you'll be next to another red keycard terminal plus a small loot box. Again, low tier gear, but it never hurts to check. Once you have the key, pick which room you'd like to go in and open it up with your newfound key. Just another tip, I like to close the doors behind me for 2 reasons. 1, NPCs can't get in with the doors closed. 2, players won't immediately know you're in there if you happen to pass by the door. I also like to stay crouched while in the room whenever possible, as each room's face is a giant window, and I don't need to make it easy for enemy players to see what I'm up to. And that's it. That's the route I use to farm 4 out of the 9 available red security rooms. It generally takes me about 30 minutes if I'm using a smaller ship, but at this point, I generally quit while I'm ahead and head back to a space station or my home city to store my new pieces. But if you'd like to get a quick overview on getting the remaining keys at the PAF sites, stick with me, we'll cover that right now. Okay, so if you've visited the PAF sites, then you're vaguely familiar with how they're arranged. The satellite building sits roughly in the center of the POI, while the perimeter and periphery is occupied by several different garages. Garages with just 1 door house blue keys. Garages with 2 large doors house red keys. In order to get the red keys, you'll need blue keys for the most part. Though there is a freebie key in one of the sites, I can't remember which one though. Anyways, doing these garages solo means you want to do them fast, meaning you want to stay organized and avoid going to the same building twice and wasting time. As such, I always pick a starting point and work my way counterclockwise, going building by building around the entire POI. The blue keys in the single door garages will always be in one of 3 places. Location type 1 is behind a security fence. Now you can open the door using a fuse, but I don't want to take the time to find a fuse or equip it, so I take the easier route and parkour over the fence. Once I have the key, I scale the metal shelving and jump back over. Location type 2 is what I call open and available. In some garages, the blue key terminal is located just to the left of the entrance, so the only barrier would be NPCs if they're even spawning. Grab the card and head to the next building. Location type number 3 is what I call hidden by a 3-year-old. Once you walk into the garage and you look to your right, you'll see a blue keycard terminal hidden behind a wire mesh grate on a metal shelving rack. You can easily clamber up and hop over to secure your card. I didn't notice any discernible order or pattern from building to building, but it doesn't take long to figure out which location a key is in once you enter the garage. I've also found that there are far more blue keys than what is needed to secure all of the red keys, and this is because there are a lot more blue doors than there are red ones. Once you have your blue keys, you can start looking for the red ones. I always like to peek through the windows of the blue garage doors to see if I can spot a red key terminal before opening a blue door. And that's mostly because the loot in the blue door rooms don't really seem to be worth much. But now you pretty much have all the tools that you need to do these POIs solo, at least if you're only clearing them for armor. I myself haven't fired off the lasers from the OLP just yet, as I have been a bit too busy with work to coordinate a group for it. But just remember, keep your head on a swivel. Don't stay in one location too long, but also don't rush your way through NPCs. Use your head and common sense. If a site feels unsafe, then it probably is. But with that, I think I'll end the video. If you've made it this far, drop a comment with your thoughts on Tier 0 item recovery. Are you enjoying it? Is it too much? Is it too little? I'd love to hear from you. Also, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you appreciate the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.